LAMBERT is a provider of professional services in health and well-being and is instrumental in improving the quality of life of companies, individuals, their families and the communities in which they live. LAMBERT is committed to ensuring that health and well-being is seen as a routine part of daily life. LAMBERT is instrumental in improving the quality of life in corporates, community organisations and individuals, therefore ensuring that well-being is seen as a routine necessity, not a luxury. If you listen to this podcast, it means you're ready to take action, ready to make the necessary changes to overcome any barriers and challenges you may have with your health and well-being. To ensure that you get the full benefit from LAMBERT's products and services, email info@lambertwellbeing.com and let us know how we can help you. Alternatively, or in addition to, go to www.lambertwellbeing.com/contact and sign up for a free strategy session. Either way, enjoy the podcast, share it with your friends, family and colleagues, and many thanks for listening. So today I'm going to talk about like a weekly program, as in like exercise. Now, whatever I got planned, for example, whatever you may have planned, might not always go that way, depending on what life throws up. It is what it is. I just have to stay flexible. And so what I try and do is plan my week ahead based on work commitments I've got, so business, etc., and try and balance it so that I'm not overdoing it in one particular area. Say, for example, cardio. I try not to do cardio on consecutive days, and the same for strength. But if I'm doing strength, I mix up the body parts. So basically balance it in that sense. And that's a kind of simple strategy that I go off based on my knowledge of avoiding injuries and overtraining, etc. So balance is key for me. And also, if I find myself kind of doing more desk-based stuff work-wise, and I find myself sitting at the computer, whether it be on a strategy call or throughout the day, and they're just so happens that they're scheduled in back to back, and I find myself sitting for too long, then even if I planned to go in the gym that particular day, I might just go out for a run just to get some fresh air, stretch the legs, etc., and just switch off. You know, and that can be, these days, at my age, having no kind of goals or competitions to train for, they're just really steady state runs just to get out, get away from the kind of business side of things and the sitting, prolonged sitting, and getting out and about, really. But I try and change the routes so that they can be challenging at certain times if there's any hills involved. And very occasionally, if I've got like a lack of time, it will turn into a more high intensity session, so shorter duration but higher intensity. So the strength, also variety for me sometimes is the answer related to strength training. And with my knowledge of like my past experience of teaching people how to become personal trainers, you know, I understand about the different ways that you can train rather than the normal 3 sets of 10, for example, on certain exercises. You know, I mix it up. Sometimes it'll be with dumbbells, sometimes it'll be with barbells, sometimes it'll be with machines, sometimes it'll just be body weight. It really depends on what I did the time before that I was training and what I feel personally, because I feel that, you know, we should all know our bodies. Some people actually don't, but I feel that I know what I need to work on, irrespective of whatever I worked the day before or the session before. But you know, I can mix up hypertrophy, for example, triceps, and these can be broken down into separate podcasts because it's going into more detail, but I'm just summarizing triceps, supersets. Some people like supersets because you can work one body group, then you can go straight onto another body group. So the previous muscle group that you've been working is resting while you're doing the other. And so that's your kind of active rest. So, and I think that's the good thing about circuit training, that people like that aspect. So you go from one exercise to the next with minimum rest, and you can actually add in a kind of running phase, sprint phase, or something else that's just going to work you cardiovascularly, because circuits are more cardiovascular based. albeit you're working other muscle groups depending on the exercises that are set out sporadically amongst the circuit. So variety really, and when we're talking about reps and sets, again, this can be expanded on in other podcasts, but the reps and sets, the rest changes based on those. So if I'm doing maximum strength, which is high weight, low reps, the sets are generally lower as well, but the rest period will be longer, as opposed to doing high reps, high sets, kind of muscle strength endurance. Then you're looking at a little bit less rest, maybe half, but we can go into that more specifically on other podcasts. Walking, I do that daily. I'm doing that now, and throughout a lot of some of the more podcasts that are less data driven, I'll do them whilst I'm walking, so it's more relaxed, and also at times when there's less people around, less traffic. So warming up, so obviously I've jumped a step here. Warming up, it's one of those things that I always advise to do, people to do, because it's like, avoid injury, but there's no scientific evidence to prove that warming up or stretching before kind of exercise helps. But at the same time, for me, the bottom line is preparing the body for what you're about to do is the guide. So if you're going to do a really low intensity session, then there's less need for you to warm up. But my rule of thumb is, if I'm going out on a run, for example, I'll start off by walking, I'll then go into a little jog, and then I'll start getting into the pace that I want to achieve for the biggest duration. And then with the strength training, because I'll have a diary of what I previously achieved, that's my end goal. I'll probably half that weight, for example. Say, for example, 100 kilograms on a deadlift or squat, and that's my goal. And I'll half that, maybe go even less, and warm up on that weight. So that's my kind of warm up philosophy there. So throughout the week, all of that will be balanced. So I always get in 4 sessions minimum a week, with the weekend being a rest. Friday is normally after a couple of strategy calls, just relax for the kids after I picked them up from school. And I occasionally do some gardening at the weekend, so that is a form of physical activity. And I'll talk about that in other podcasts as well. What other activities such as cleaning and things like that, how they correlate to physical activity and people's goals and achievements from that. I've got a gym in the garden, which I've explained before in a previous podcast, and I'll be talking about what equipment's in there, what equipment you can go out and buy in other podcasts. So I can occasionally go out in there if I've not achieved as much as I wanted to in the week, for example. So going back to the workout diary, it's no different to a kind of food diary really. We should always kind of monitor. Trying to remember what you did last time is a big ask and not always achievable. But I find that it just holds you more accountable rather than guesstimating what you're going to do, what you've done. But having a plan before you go into the gym or before you go into your day, what you're going to do. Because building that plan, it also telling people what you're going to do, it's all part of the support network to support yourself and for others to support you. I generally train alone, but that's just me. Some people prefer to train in a group. That's it for today. I'll go into more detail based on your requests. Any comments you've got, any questions, feel free to ask. As always, we encourage you to subscribe, hit the notification bell on our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook or Instagram, and engage with us on any of our Lambert Wellbeing platforms. Let us know how we can help you on your wellness journey. Many thanks for listening. Have a great day or evening, wherever you are.